All right, well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Atlantic High School. On behalf of Principal Sandra Edwards, who cannot be here tonight, I'm filling in. My name is Mike Burke. I'm the superintendent of Palm Beach County Schools. And so once again, welcome to Atlantic High School, home of the Eagles. So you can say we are in the nest. And the nest is a good place to be. It's a safe space. And I'm really excited about tonight's meeting. You know, this has been in the works for a while. We're excited about bringing new facilities and new programs to Delray Beach. And I was present. We had a meeting back on April 4th at the Arts Warehouse where we had a chance to hear from the community. And what I heard, you know, there wasn't perfect harmony, but I heard a lot of common ground. And I think the bottom line is that we want programs that are going to help lead to well-paying jobs for our community. And that's what we're all about. You know, I know we've looked at some of the programs to our south, Atlantic Technical College now. I remember it when it was Atlantic Vocational, but the Atlantic Technical College is kind of a model for us to look at, right? And that program's been around for a long time. I think what's important for us is we get started and we start building a program. And, you know, you don't reach greatness overnight. I was looking at if Harvard, you know, right, premier college, Harvard up there in Cambridge, Massachusetts, it was founded in 1636, but they didn't have a med school until 146 years later in 1782. And then the law school came around in 1817, which was 181 years since they founded it. And I'll promise you that we are going to work faster than Harvard. I don't have 181 years to get this going. But I think if we get things going, when we focus on some programs that we know will lead to well-paying jobs, we also have to recognize that the school district is going to build this building. We have to operate it. We got to make sure that we have a revenue stream so we can pay the teachers and keep it running. And that brings a certain amount of constraints. So this is going to be an adult ed program. We are going to offer GED and ESOL programs, and you know we can do both. But we do have to make this a viable operation, just like the programs in Broward County have learned to be viable, and that's why they've withstood the test of time. So with that, I'm going to move on here, and I'm going to invite up Commissioner Johnson, I believe, is next to share her remarks. So thank you.
For short people. I'd just like to thank each and every one of you. I was hoping that the building would be overflowing with enthusiastic people, but I had to keep in mind, this is the summer. It's the beginning of a 4-day weekend and a lot of other things. So I'm here to welcome each and every one of you to the city of Delray Beach. Superintendent just welcomed us on behalf of the school board. And I'd like to thank them for opening up this facility and allowing us the comfort and all of this technological gadgetry that we've not had in some of our previous meetings. So thank you and welcome, and please participate. We do want to know what you think. We do want to know what your ideas are. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Deborah Robinson, Palm Beach County School Board member representing District 7, including this area as well as the Northwest Southwest neighborhood. And I want to thank my folks in yellow for showing up because you've been there from the beginning, and I hope to represent that in this presentation. I want to thank everyone that's come out. I'm going to call it commissioner. I'm going to say that the true soldiers showed up and the rest are watching on YouTube, okay? So before I forget, I want to thank some other folks for making this happen. So I need to thank Tony Lynn Bellata, who is the board secretary and who gets really upset when I start putting PowerPoint presentations together because they're not formatted correctly. So I want to thank Claudia Shea and her entire staff from the Education Network. And a special thanks to Andrew Ruiz and the elves, okay? Elves in the back, y'all, making it happen because we're doing new things because despite, you know how they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks? Well, you can't. It just take a minute. So we're learning some new tricks tonight. So it's going to be a little bit different than meetings in the past. And so now we're going to go ahead and move forward. Okay, wait. You keeping up with me? Okay, there we go. Thank you. Commissioner, to give our purpose.
Hello again. I didn't introduce myself. I'm Shirley Johnson. I'm the City Commissioner, Seat 4, City of Delray Beach, for those of you who don't know me. I've been given the awesome, unenviable task of talking about, is it now? Where is it? Oh, sorry, go back one. Honoring the history and the future use of buildings 1, 2, and 12. Thank you. I wish to thank each and every one of you again for attending this event on a wonderful summer night. Your input will assist the Palm Beach County School District and the City of Delray Beach as we work to keep the spirit of Carver High School alive. The spirit of educating, of community, of honoring the past, and of inspiring the future. Some are asking or saying, we've been doing this so long. We have told you what we want. It should have been done by now. As the superintendent said, it takes a little while to do it right. Tonight, you will be given a recap of this effort by Dr. Robinson. I will just add, nothing ever happens overnight except my gray hair and perfection. Oh, that was for laughter. Okay, laughter. And perfection takes time, patience, and care. I've gathered the following from a document titled Historic Carver High School. I encourage you to read it. It's on the website of the city's website. If not, contact me and I'll make sure that you can get a copy or a link to it, because it's most powerful and informative. Two of the most significant features of Historic Carver, and I'm going to call it that from now on, just Historic Carver rather than Historic Carver High School, it will be here all night, are its architecture and its culture. The architect is Gustav A. Moss, Jr. He was born 1893 and he died in 1964. Arriving in early Florida and Palm Beach County from New Orleans in 1921, his work spans from the 1920s until his death. During this long career, Mr. Moss worked for the historic Seaboard Airline Railway and designed many designed many of the railway stations for this company. The station here in Delray Beach was recently, unfortunately, severely damaged by fire. We're working to restore it as best that we can. Mr. Moss' style was often in Mediterranean revival, featuring simple windows, barrel clay tile roofs, and stucco exteriors. You can see how he influenced the designs of Florida's homes and businesses of that era. If you go to Bankers Row, you might see some of the houses that have those styles. Mr. Moss designed the Southwest High School. If you look at the diagrams or the architectural drawings, it says Southwest High School, but it eventually became Carver when it was ribbon cut or put into the system. Probably he designed it in 1956 or 1957. This was late in his career. As I said, he passed in 1964. And it was designed in the mid-century modern, moderne style. The first senior class entered in 1958 after the school was dedicated, and they graduated promptly on time in 1959. The newly built Carver was now only a 4-year school. If you know your history, It used to be located on 8th and 3rd Northwest, and it went from the first grade all the way up to the 12th grade. So they separated the 4 last years of school and put it in that building. This was in a time in Florida where segregated schools existed. It served all the colored students of high school age from Deerfield Beach to Lake Worth, now what is currently known as Lake Worth Beach. From this place came educators, lawyers, doctors, and other medical personnel, business owners, professional athletes, and yours truly. I'm a proud graduate of the class of '64. That all ended when the school districts were forced to fully integrate in the 1970s. The community was devastated, dispersed, and has never been quite the same. The community was Carver, and Carver was the community. I'll explain by talking about tonight's subject buildings. And I think this is where we're going to put up a diagram of the school. I don't quite, that's the full school, but we're going to put up a diagram, I hope, of building 1. Originally, it was divided, for those of you who are familiar with it, it was divided into 2 wings with its historic, sweeping, cantilevered, concrete-covered central entrance. The west wing was used for administration and academic purposes. The east wing was part of Building 1, or it was all Building 1, and it was eventually extended on the eastern end of the building. The entrance was slightly shifted in order to, I guess, be symmetrical. Mr. Cox could probably give us the reason for it, as he's an architect. And the east wing then became Building 2. It was always academic. Mr. Reggie Cox, I'm sorry, I didn't give your full title, Mr. Cox. Building number 12, the cafeteria. I don't know if we're going to get a picture of that. Okay. This was the heart of everything. School and community both existed in this building. If you'll remember, Pompey Park was not yet built, and I just learned from Mr. Murray that it was not built until 1979, correct? Right date. It was our village. Building 12, the cafeteria, was the gathering place for talent shows, plays, graduations from kindergarten to the high school, musical concerts, but its original purpose was to feed the students. There is no learning possible on an empty stomach. And believe me, the smells emanating from the cafeteria into the campus encouraged everyone to remain in school at least until the lunch period for them ended. Then they might leave, you never knew. But hopefully it encouraged them to continue the day. Outside in the field area, students involved in athletics were there from early morning to late in the evenings. Band practice and other sports made it a home away from home. Football, track and field were events for many to either be players or spectators. And the campus also included a beautiful gymnasium where our basketball players excelled. These buildings were our everything, a way out of no way, our place to gather, to celebrate, and to be celebrated. It was home. So the case for an historic Carver High School, has always been a desire to remember it at this site, to rekindle a sense of community, and to ignite the imagination and confidence of future generations. We must, of course, continue to educate, to honor, and to preserve the spirit of the historic Carver High School. This spirit will encourage the present to acknowledge all achievements and allows for the windows to the past to remain open. Knowledge and retention of this historic site will inspire those in our future, our children and our grandchildren. So once again, please think about these buildings, their historical contributions and uses. Share your thoughts and ideas with us to help guide their futures. Thank you.
And so now I would like to offer a moment for a school board member from District 4, Erica Whitfield, to say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Erica Whitfield. I'm the school board member for District 4, and I brought my little 2-year-old today, so if you hear her yelling out, that's what we were late for. But it's such a pleasure to be here today, and I just want to thank you all for hanging in here with us through this process. I know we've had a lot of ups and downs about this, but I'm very grateful when I see the community come together like this, and I'm thank you to Dr. Robinson for bringing us all together again to discuss this. So I'm here to just listen and get input from you all again. And I'm hopeful that we can come to a resolution and really create something that's going to be meaningful to the community. That's really what we're here for and why I really wanted to be here this evening. So thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to your input. Thank you.
Okay, see, now I have to try to get my tech mess together here. Okay, so I told you this was a different meeting, right? And so we are using technology tonight to get your input. You should have received a comment card that has a QR code on it. We want to make sure that we get everyone's voice, not just the people that are used to public speaking or fond of public speaking, right? And so this is the way we're going to try to do it. Also the people who are watching this live stream will be able to use a Mentimeter and provide their input as well. The Mentimeter will close when this meeting is over. Okay, what else did I need to tell you? So you'll scan the QR code, and later on in the presentation, they should have been out. Okay, see, the magic is happening. See, I'm telling you, this would not happen without Claudia Shea and her team. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so we'll let you know what the questions are a little bit later. So, moving on. So how we got here. And I'm missing one of my slides. Okay, so this is a slide from the previous community input meetings. You've seen this before. I always want to honor the work that came before. In every way, we're standing on the shoulders of those who came before us, including this conversation. And so, you know, for decades and centuries, folks in Delray have been standing up for their community. So I want to acknowledge that. In 1995, you know, there was a West Atlantic redevelopment plan, which was amended in, I can't see, 2001. Okay. And then 2002 was the downtown. Oh, I guess I need to figure this out. Okay, 2002, the downtown neighborhood plan. 2003, the Southwest Area Neighborhood Redevelopment Plan. The 2012 Ward Needs Assessment. And in November 17, the Set Transformation Plan was presented to the CRA. And then in November of 2016, the voters of Palm Beach County, thank you a lot, approved the 1-cent sales tax. This half penny was allocated to address backlogs and maintenance, and a few construction projects, and approximately $10,000 was allocated for improvements at Delray Full Service Center. So we started having meetings, right? Brainstorming, sharing thoughts, moving forward on what would happen on the campus of Delray Full Service Center, now rebranded as Village Center, including the Historic Carver High School. And you see the dates of several meetings that I was able to capture out of my calendar. And then in April of 2018, we came to a consensus. We said that we would save the gym for educational and cultural purposes. We said that the cafeteria would not be demolished until we knew for certain that the gym could be saved or restored. And if not, then the cafeteria would be restored. We said we want to have a new 20,000 square foot multi-purpose building for the community and school. We want to have an athletic practice field. And we took note actually from an engineer who was speaking in one of these meetings about underground water storage to provide more land for future construction. So I want you to know that the gym is being preserved. Well, you'll see, Mr. Sanchez is going to show you. And that was the consensus there on preserving history. So then we had, and I'm going to try to go through this a little bit faster. We had a village center program planning team that was proposed in that April of 2018 meeting. We brought multiple groups together, and we had multiple meetings where we brainstormed and talked about, well, what kind of academic programming did we want to be housed in that new building? And we talked repeatedly about the high wage, the intersection of high wage, high demand. Then we went on field trips. So multiple visits and conversations with, and this is out of my calendar, but many community members and many other school district folks participated in some of these. The many visits and conversations with Atlantic Technical College and Technical High School in Broward, and as well as Sheridan Technical College. Visited Dunbar High School in Fort Myers, which I absolutely love them. And they're a Microsoft Showcase School with focusing on STEM and lots of IT. We went to McFadder Technical High School and College in Broward as well. So we came back to the community and we said the model we were going to follow is the model that from Atlantic Technical College. Now the other technical colleges, high schools and colleges had the same model, just pointing out Atlantic Technical. So there's 3 ways to enter the program. One, you could come into the program as a choice student and take that program at Village Academy from 9 through 12. You could come in what I call the regional programming. They call it something else in Broward, but I call it the regional programming. So you might be a student here at Atlantic. You take your core academics here at Atlantic. In the 11th and 12th grade, you take part of your day on the Village Center campus taking your specific program, whether it's IT or on the construction trades or whatever. And then the third one is the adult technical education program. So 3 different ways to access the same training. Okay. And that was what we agreed on. So again, we talked about high wage, high demand. So we agreed on the initial focus, and hear me clearly, initial focus being IT and computer technology, the medical academies, which I hope that we really grow out, construction trades, and CDL. So I just want to take a moment to attempt to clear some misunderstandings, some urban legends, some rumors. And, you know, I appreciate the fact that so many people from Delray watched when we live streamed the update to the community on Historic Roosevelt. But there were some things that people misunderstood. Maybe we just didn't say it clearly, right? But so Historic Roosevelt does not have the historic designation, right? I know a lot of people think that you must have the historic designation to access some of these monies or to preserve the past. That is not the case at Historic Roosevelt. But yet and still we received the grant from the Florida Department of State Division of Arts and Culture, and I think it was close to $500,000. Yeah. 450,000, okay, from the African American Culture and Historical Grant issued by the Florida Department of State, Division of Arts and Culture, right, for Historic Roosevelt, which is not declared historic, okay? All right, then the other thing that I wanted to make clear, because somebody said, why did we work with the city of West Palm and we didn't work with Delray? Well, guess what? That beautiful vision that you see for Historic Roosevelt, that was the work product that was initiated by a third-party nonprofit who came to me, came to us, and the city. So this was not that the school district went to the city and said, let's work together, and we're not going to work with Delray. Nothing like that, right? We want to work together. But I think that this exercise at Historic Roosevelt, I'm going to say, has taught the school district a little bit more about how we work together. Because, you know, for decades, everybody's been in their own little space in silos, right? And so I just wanted to make that point. And then the other thing is, because someone said to me about the museum at Roosevelt as if it was going to only reflect the history of Roosevelt. It is not. The museum envisioned at Historic Roosevelt will be a museum that represents the story of the African diaspora throughout Palm Beach County and Florida, not just Roosevelt. I'm sure there'll be some Roosevelt history in there, but not just Roosevelt. So now we're going to go to Mr. Sanchez, who'll clear a little bit more air and then show you some of his stuff.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. So you've been seeing on the screen over here to my right and to your left some images that have been cycling through, and I'm going to talk about some of those in a little bit of detail when we go through a couple of more things. But a couple of things I've been asked to identify and kind of clear up as well is the issue about how we came about with the design of the Village Center project that's ongoing right now. We do have to get Department of Education approval for our projects. We have to go through what's called a plant survey, and every project we do has to be survey recommended by the state. So if the state doesn't support it, it doesn't allow us to build it. We currently have more capacity in Palm Beach County at the high school level, and actually at all levels, than we have students. So when you have that, the state says, oh, you got to put a brake on doing construction until you catch up with your capacity. So in order to move forward with the project at the Delray campus, at the Carver campus, we had to make this, or continue it really, as a adult education program. It currently is an adult education program, but we could not build another 20,000 square foot building on that campus and say it's going to be for high school purposes. We had to say it's going to be for adult education, and it is adult education. And as was explained before, we can allow high school students to participate in programs there, but it's primarily a high school adult education program with at least 51% of the space dedicated for adult education. The next point I wanted to bring up also is the space that's available for programming, because I know there's some concern about within the 20,000 square feet, well, how much of it is it really going to be used for career programs? I'm going to talk about a little bit about that. And then I want to clear up some things about the flexibility of the classroom. So when we present to the state, we have to demonstrate that, again, this is an adult education program. So a lot of the labels that we use on the drawings said GED or ESOL and things like that. But that's to demonstrate what the rooms are used for primarily, but that doesn't mean that they exclusively have to be used for those purposes. So this is just the overall campus look. So just to make sure everybody has orientation. So north is on the top of the page. Building 1 is the oldest original building. Building 2 that was added on, and building 12, which is the cafeteria building. This is the brand new 20,000 square foot building that's being added in the gymnasium that's being renovated. These other buildings that are hashed out are buildings that were demolished. So this is a rendering of the new 20,000 square foot building where most of the program is going to be taking place. And this is the floor plan of that building, this 2-story building. All right, so on the left-hand side, you see the first floor. You see, yes, there is a sizable administration area, but there's space for information technology. There is a construction program that's going to start out with HVAC and electrical, and it can be expanded to other areas as well. There's the integrated education and training space. There's the health sciences. These rooms were previously labeled GED or ESOL, but they're really flexible spaces that can be used. They're regular classrooms, and we could teach a variety of things in here. And you see additional space for information technology. So I just wanted to point out again, we have on the first floor is the construction. And I put this asterisk in here because we received a letter from the Greater Delray Beach Chamber of Commerce about their recommendations for programs. They recommended construction. We do have construction currently. And then information technology, they recommended a couple of programs, including artificial intelligence technology, software, and coding. We currently have planned web technologies, multimedia technologies. Again, these technology spaces and the programs they're going to be taught in there are flexible. They will be adapted to the demands of the public, the demands of the students, and the demands of the opportunities for them to have careers afterwards. So there's definitely flexibility in there. This is the gymnasium building that's being renovated. And the floor plan of it, again, I just want to point out that we have flexible spaces in here. So we have rooms that are available in here that can be used for a variety of things. We do have testing lab in here. We're going to plan on using it for career as well as language and literacy, so ESOL, GED. But there's going to be other things that can be used for those, because those are general classroom spaces, and they're sizable spaces. You see we have the space for the historic interpretive room up there, that we have some artifacts in there. And we have this big multi-purpose space. And that big multi-purpose space can be used for a variety of events, including community events. If alumni want to go back in there into their old school and have an old school dance, or have their sons or daughters get married in there, whatever the case may be, that space is available for it. I wanted to include a couple of pictures in there, which things that you can do in that kind of a space. So there's been talk about having robotics in there. And when you have an open space like that, you could bring in kind of robotics programs and robotics competitions and things like that. You can hang things from the ceilings such as this, and you see carts on wheels and chairs that can move around. So you have that flexibility in that space that you could do all those kind of things. So I want to make the point here is I want to make sure that everyone understands that there's flexibility in here, and the programs are going to grow. As Mr. Burke said early on, as we get into this, the programs will grow and adapt and change as the need requires. Also, there's been talk about automotive program. We don't think that gym space or that space is perfect for automotive, but we can have automotive classrooms. We can do, as we point out here, we can use one of these classrooms for automotive, or as a classroom, teaching classroom, and one of them for robotics, and use the common space. But we think it makes a lot of sense. We understand there's a number of dealerships here that already have the built space where we can have the practical experience, and we could take the students, do their classroom space here, and then go to the shops for any one of the automotive dealerships, and then have the students do hands-on training at that location. So that would be our recommendation. Here you see, I want to point out, we do have 8 portables that are going to go out there, modular classrooms that are scheduled to go out there. One is going to be used for cosmetology, and others are going to be used for other programs, more IT related, more training, more things to get students ready for the workforce. And this is the artist's rendering of what that space would look, that area outside of those modular buildings would look like. But I wanted to include another slide in here as well to show that this doesn't have to be that stale gray walls or beige walls, whatever it can be. It could be activated and alive with murals and stuff like this. You see some of this around Delray Beach already. And we could put these kind of murals, allow these murals to be done on our schools, on those modular buildings, to represent the history of Carver High School, to celebrate that history, and to acknowledge and excite the students that are going to be there in that space. So it could be technology related, like we talked about. It could be construction related, or it could just simply be about the Black history that took place or is taking place at that campus. Dr. Robinson. Now you want this in? Okay.
Thank you. Now, aren't y'all glad Mr. Sanchez is back? Clap your hands. I'm just saying, I am. I'm not even going to go into the rest of my thought, but I'm just thankful he's back. Good work, Mr. Burke. Where are you? There, fist bump. Okay, so now we're getting to the part where we ask you to weigh in. All right, so if you don't have the comment card with the Mentimeter, raise your hand. We'll get it to you. So I've learned a lot in these efforts to represent our history at Roosevelt and at Carver. And so this slide it's a cut and paste, but I gave credit. I'm not plagiarizing, right? So, but what makes it the building historically significant? In my mind, originally, it was just the architecture, right? And that's all I had, right? And so it's not just the architecture, but as Commissioner mentioned, it could be the architect. And so in this case, the architect contributes to the need to recognize history here. But I think in this case, it's most important that we recognize history because of who was there and when they were there and what they did while they were there and then what they did after they were educated at Carver. And so that is my case for wanting to work hard to make sure that we represent history as we move forward on this project. And so, as this quote says, and this said it better than I could have come up with, historic preservation is an important way for us to transmit our understanding of the past to future generations. So our nation's history has many facets, and historic preservation helps to tell the story. And now, the question is, what is the minimal level of historic preservation of building one that you would find acceptable? So now let me state this, and this is what I'm fighting for and what I'm hoping the district will agree to, that the given, no matter what happens with the building, whether it's new construction, a hybrid, or complete and total historic preservation, that there will be displays and artifacts, memorabilia that relate to that history. That's a given, okay? Preserving the name there is a given, okay? So what we're talking about is what is whoever's going to do, I don't know who's going to do it, but when it's time to prepare that building for future use, is it good with you if it's new construction, total new construction, maybe replicating the original building, or a hybrid, which is what the plan is for Historic Roosevelt, where particular portions of the building that are deemed representative or iconic would be preserved, but the rest is new construction. Or 3, complete preservation as much as possible, because you still have to bring it up to code, you still have to make it ADA compliant and so forth, right? And so those are the things, if you would do your Mentimeter, if you would, yes. Okay. So the question is, how much historic preservation for building one do you consider to be the minimal acceptable? So 1 is new construction, all new construction, that's a replica of the original building. 2, a hybrid, where certain portions, don't ask me which portions, but certain portions that are particularly representative of history are saved, but there's new construction, the rest is new. Or 3, complete and total historic preservation. Anybody else having technical problems? And folks who are watching on YouTube should be able to do the Mentimeter as well. Any technical? Anybody else? So brand new process, working out the bugs. Okay. This is input. Okay, thank you, Mr. Sanchez. So let me clarify. It was actually on Commissioner's slide, but we're getting input. This is not decision making, okay? So when Commissioner Johnson and I decided that we wanted to host such a meeting, it was to get the input that will be the record not only for school district staff and city staff, but future elected officials, okay? So if everybody in the room said, come on down and say what you got to say. If everybody in the room said you wanted complete historic preservation, that at some point in time, we might end up having another conversation about how do we possibly get there. I don't know. But this is not about the barriers. This is about what the minimal level of historic preservation you would consider to be acceptable. Come to the microphone. That's what I'm waiting for.
Sorry. This is related to building 1. If we could, if the elves could, okay. This is building 1?
It's right here, right here.
No, I mean the picture, if we could bring
Oh,
up
you
the
want
picture.
picture of building?
Yes, could we, is
Okay.
there,
I'll get it. I'll back my.
that's building 1. It would be the building as you're entering from the north to the south. It would be the one on your right-hand side.
Right, yeah.
The old administration that would be right next to the cafeteria. Is that answering everyone's question? It's historic, the whole thing.
Two-story, he said.
2-story, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else need time to vote? Okay. Okay, Elf, so the lesson learned is we'll tell them to log on at the beginning of the meeting. Okay. Then you know what? The other thing, I'm so sorry. The reason we gave you that card, you can write your comments. Okay, so if you left your phone in the car, yes, on the back. Look, turn the card over on the back. We thought about it, forgot to tell you. Okay, so we're going to move on because we have other voting to do. And actually, if you think of something after we move to the next question, if you think of something on the first question, write it on the back of your card. And there's a box back there somewhere to drop them. And we'll collect those and tally them along with the data we get from Mentimeter. Okay. So the next thing we need your input on, the next 2 questions have to do with potential future uses of the campus. So part of what happens with these 3 buildings depends, it's all about what is it you're going to use it for, right? And so what we want is your input about what else needs to happen on that campus. So these are some things that we thought of in our planning meetings, right? A museum, more academic space, meeting space, a health clinic, and a cafeteria for the adult ed program, which then opens up the possibilities of a culinary program, right? So what we ask you to do is go to your Mentimeter or go to your comment card and tell us which of any of these that you like. If you like none, if you like all of them, right? The next vote will be your ideas. But first we want to know, of these things we listed, are any of them any good? Let us know which ones you think are good ideas. Okay, you can see it there. Oh, and it's on your Mentimeter. I'm gonna get it. Yeah, that's the results as people are voting. Please, we're having enough trouble coordinate between my brain and the work of the elves, okay? The elves are rocking it, but let's just slow the roll. Anybody else need to vote on our bright ideas? The museum, additional programming or classroom space, meeting space, health clinic, cafeteria. Everybody's good? And if you think of anything else, put it on your comment card. Okay, so wait. Super Magic Elf. What Commissioner was asking was that pie chart. Can you make it project there? No. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Okay. Now, here's the part where you freestyle it. Okay. What else? What is it that we didn't think of in terms of future use of that campus? Right? So as the superintendent said, that school that they think is just so very good up north somewhere, they established themselves and then they later added a medical school and then they later added a law school, right? What is it that you want to see added, right? That was not a shout out to the Rattlers, okay? Okay, that was a shout out for Howard. Okay, you know that, right? Okay, so just want to be clear. Okay, so please, okay, and I see you're doing it. Commercial kitchen incubator, technical college. Okay, so let me say, whoever said technical college, that's part of the plan. When we talked about that model, copying Atlantic Tech, that's not programming as much as that is structure, in my way of seeing it. But anyway, but that's good. That's good. So yeah, please, all your input. Okay. Stop worrying about names and educate our children. Okay. All right. Whoever said that, talk to me afterwards. Okay. Okay. This is good. Yes. Who's talking? Read them out loud. Technical college, performing arts venue, academy classes that reflect the workforce needs of the community. Okay, wait, it was a commercial kitchen there. Social Justice Institute, environment science solutions, green blue industry, social justice solutions, commercial printing, visual arts, grocery store, access to fresh and affordable food, career technical school, wellness and exercise class, technical college, project-based learning. Okay, ESOL and GED focused job training center, community program for teens, after school, I think that is music engineering. Okay, I bet you I know who said that. Okay, performing arts, community leadership academy, technical high school, industry certification classes. Okay, keep it coming, y'all, keep it coming. This is fantastic. Developing entrepreneurs, farming and greening, garden space, cooperative economics learning, a band room for village, hydroponic gardening, cybersecurity academy, after school program, science institute, not just technology, but actual science, marketing and business programs and entrepreneurship, to inject new business ideas and hands-on applications to the business community, building from within. This is neat. Black liberation education, industry certification, community leadership, community organizing academy, financial classes, technical high school, technical college, clean manufacturing, culinary arts, agriculture. This is fantastic. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Who has the time? What time is it, Commissioner? (6:52). I didn't think we would get through this meeting in an hour. We're gonna do all our meetings with Mentimeter, right? See, Superintendent, you should do board meetings like that. When I get off the board, on the job training programs. So what I would like to do, with your permission, is to ask Commissioner to come up and bring closing comments, but if we could leave this open maybe for like 10 more minutes at least, right? Co-op startup, okay, this is good. This is good. Leadership Institute for Teens, Fitness Center, Physical Therapy, very good, very good. Entrepreneurship again.
Okay, thank you. Oops,
Thank you.
no paper, sorry. Everything okay? I am the closer. I have ending on my paper. Once again, thank you for coming and participating. I had hoped that we would not be under 2 hours, but here we are just about under an hour. I'd like to thank each and every one of you once again for coming out. May I ask you to give yourselves a round of applause? Because a lot of people have been discouraged, and it's the summer, and who wants to come and sit and talk about Historic Carver High School Village Center? We do. I'd like to personally thank also, because of the information I had to do, Ms. Paula Newman Rocker of the Carver High School Historical Preservation Society. I wish she'd shorten the name and just make it Historic Carver High School, make it easier for me to remember and how to say it. Mr. Price Patton with the Historic Preservation Board, the City of Delray Beach, and the Palm Beach County School District Board, and the superintendent. I'd like to thank and his staff and all the elves with all this magical technological stuff. Maybe we can have Mr. Moore, who's also in the audience, talk with some of them so we can bring it to the city. But please allow me the opportunity to acknowledge and show appreciation for the service of District Ms. Whitfield, District 4. Thank you for coming, even though this is not your district. And especially, I'd like to allow me the opportunity to acknowledge and show appreciation for the service of our Board District 7 representative, Dr. Deborah Robinson. Would you please give her a round of applause? She's applauding herself. Dr. Robinson has dedicated 22 years of her life to this position. And she will be retiring this November, in case you haven't heard. In full disclosure, we are Howard University alumni, and I had to I just wanted to say that Howard gives you a sense of service, and if you don't give it, you just feel awful. You feel like your life has been a waste, even though you might have had 10 children, 5 husbands, 10 grandchildren. If you haven't served your community, you have not accomplished what you were what you were pushed out to do. And so I'd like to thank you, Dr. Robinson, for all your hard work and commitment to education in our neck of the woods. Palm Beach County is outstanding, and we can only get better. The others envy us, and that's because we have people like you and others who work hard every day to educate our children and get them ready to be pushed out to do community service. So once again, thank you all for coming. Please give yourselves, oh, I'm sorry, we have a question. Yes, Mr. Reggie, Mr. Cox.
But my question is, what are the guarantees, for example, the uses that were listed on the plan show where we landed, like years and years of input. So what are the guarantees we have tonight that the Village Academy, for the programming for the students, I have a child going to Village Academy this fall in 8th grade. So far as that technical college and concept that we want to see those students be able to grow into for their future. What are the guarantees that they'll be able to use this facility? Because in Delray, there's a pattern where we give input and then it gets to the commission, and in one vote, they give years and years of giving input.
So, Mr. Cox,
Any guarantee?
you know I love you. But this is why we were using the Mentimeter, okay? All right? Now, you know it ain't no guarantees in life. We're going to have to keep working, watching people, right?
We definitely gotta watch.
Okay, come on, come on. Ain't no guarantees. Ain't no guarantees. But I think we had some promises, but ain't no guarantees. Okay? So we have to stay on these systems. You know that. And you just want me to say it out loud. Okay, so I'm saying it. All right. And guess what? I'm leaving my school board representative seat, but I'm not leaving the work, right? And I know stuff. Okay? Match my stuff up with y'all stuff. Ooh, okay, I'm just saying. All right, so now we're gonna wind it down because we're gonna start having a family meeting in just a second, and we on YouTube. Okay, so let me just tell you, I'm surprised Commissioner didn't remind me because in the planning she kept saying, but we have to tell them what we're going to do with the information, right? Is that what you're about to say? Okay, so what we're going to do with this information is we're going to gather all the information from Mentimeter and from the comment cards that you wrote out. We'll gather it together and we'll put it together in a chart or some kind of report. If you want to see it, be happy to share it with you. My primary focus was to take your voice and take it to district leadership and city leadership so then they can figure it out. That was my purpose tonight. So, did you want to say anything else?
One last thing. As you probably are all aware, I am termed out in March, but I'm not going anywhere either. So, however, I'm going to work to make this be fulfilled promise, commitment. We're going to be working together. So, who knows what we're going to do? But since I can't do anything city affiliated, doesn't mean I can't do something on the outside. So, as I again have said, thank you all very much. You know where we live, at the city hall and at the school district headquarters, so we can be reached for any additional comments, etc. Thank you again.
Y'all know how to get us. So, Mr. Sanchez want to make a comment?
Yeah, I just want to say, because we did commit at that previous meeting with the education board that we're going to follow up and have some other meetings. So we do have a meeting coming up on July the 13th. Our staff, district staff, with the city staff and education board. I guess the education board member is going to be there as well. So that's where we're continuing the planning process. So that's coming up. I'm sorry. That's not a public meeting. That's the staff meeting, and then we'll be reporting back out on that once that's done.
Okay, so we will follow up on that. Okay. Okay, because I am being nice, and I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. Thank you again to the elves. I'm just telling you, y'all rock, y'all rock. So would y'all show some love to the elves, please? And I'm not even going to ask if there's anything else for the good of the order. You got 5 more minutes to vote. And thank you. I know this is the shortest meeting I've been in like 25 years.